Alright, hello everyone and welcome to a webinar on Vaadin Designer. My name is Risto and I work as a product owner for designer here at Vaadin.
And my name is Rob Smeds and I work as a UX designer at Vaadin.
And today we're not gonna go through a tutorial on Vaadin Designer, nor are we gonna go through each and every one of the features in the product. Instead, we thought we would walk you through a pretty standard workflow between designers and developers when using Designer. So I think that in today's world, in most companies that do products, you have UX designers, and the very best product teams involve designers very deeply into the process. So in the best case, you will have designers and developers working right side by side.
Like we do here.
Yes, like we here, on the same screen with fast feedback loops, iteratively. So it's not a waterfall process where the design just comes through the pipe and I implement and push to production. Instead, I give feedback and get feedback from the designers, and I think it always ends up with a better product. So today I will be a developer, Rolf being the designer, and let's see what we end up with. So you have a design from me, I think.
Yep, already sent that to you.
All right, it's look like this. So
yeah. So what we're looking at here is a pretty typical application view that you would do in a Vaadin application. It's a user profile form. So we have a number of input fields for the name and the title and so on. And then we have, excuse me, a section at the bottom for entering the user's postal address. And then at the top we have a static non-scrolling toolbar with the title of the view and buttons for saving and cancelling the changes. By the way, I could mention that this design was made in an app called Sketch, which is really popular amongst UI designers. And I've used the Vaadin UI toolkit, which is a Sketch library of Sketch symbols that you can download from Vaadin.com that provides you with these realistic looking representations of most of the standard Vaadin components, so that you don't have to draw those yourselves as a designer. So it really it makes it a lot quicker to create a realistic looking mock-up of a Vaadin application.
all right, cool. And that also means that now that when I look at this mock-up and then when I switch to Vaadin Designer, I should be able to find most of those things here in the palette. So this is Vaadin Designer. It's an IDE plugin for Eclipse and IntelliJ. So let's see what it does. So I'm just going to go ahead and start doing it. We'll see how it looks like. So okay, so you have some kind of a header bar here, right?
Yeah, and it should be static, so it shouldn't really scroll with the rest of the content.
All right, so let's see how I can make that work. So I'll start with a horizontal layout, and then we had some text, so I'll just do a span here. I could drag here in the viewport area as well, but I really like dragging it to the outline. It's a very accurate way of doing the design. So let's see, span, and then we have some buttons here, so I'm going to do a few primary buttons here. Let's see, and yeah, there we go. Span text, and you have something like user profile, yeah. User profile, and I see the changes here in the viewport. So this is a primary button, that's fine. I'll change this into save and remove the primary from this, and this was cancel maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, that looks good. I'll just clear out the default styles. So as you saw when I searched for the button, there's the paths, which are kind of the standard elements. So that's just a Vaadin button and nothing else. And then you have the components. They have some configuration into them. So you saw that the Vaadin button has the primary theme, for example, applied, and then some text content over here. And then the patterns are like bigger blocks of components that work well together. Okay, so I have the header bar here. So then I'm going to work on the form. So let's take a Vaadin form layout, add it here, And then you had a few text fields, I think. So you have first name, surname. Okay, so let's see. I'll add a bunch of them and see what we end up with. So
yeah, you can add add two text fields and 2 combo boxes.
All right.
That should give you the first 4
right.
input fields.
2 text fields. There we go. There. And then combo box. Yeah. There we go. Let's see. So this was first name. Surname, and just remove the placeholders here. And then we had the combo boxes, and this was title and gender. All right. There we go. And gender.
And then below those we have a text field for email address.
Okay.
And that text field should be twice the width of these other fields.
Oh, okay. So let me set the label first. It was email. And Vaadin form layout takes a call span attribute from the children, but it doesn't actually have that in the text field. So I can just add it here. Add a call span to. Okay. So this is what you meant. It's
exactly.
All right. Cool. And then a similar kind of combo box, I guess?
Yeah, combo box below that, which is also full width.
All right. So I'll add a call span for that as well. Call span and it.
And that was the company
field. All right, so that's the first part of the form. So I can quickly show how the source looks like. So we're editing a visual representation here that's rendered in Designer, but what it actually is just pretty standard HTML. So technically it's a Polymer 2 template, but I think the important part to understand here is that it's very standard HTML web components, some JavaScript if you want to write that, and you can also add CSS here manually if you want to. But let's get back to the form. It has some dividers here, so I guess that's like HR.
You could use an HR, yeah.
Okay, let's do that. And then there was a span, I think.
Yeah, for for the section title.
All right, so that was then postal address. All right, so yeah, so then another form. There we go, and I'll clear out the default styles there as well. So, and then this one has like a couple of text fields.
Yeah, 2 full width fields for the 2 street address lines.
Yeah, just go there. And these top ones were full width.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so call span to the rescue.
So essentially, since we have a 2-column form layout, setting the call span of a field to 2 will essentially make it span the entire width of the form.
This was street address.
And the next one was street address line 2.
All right, let's remove those placeholders here. And then
we had the postal code. Next to that we have a combo box for the city.
All right. All right.
And finally one more combo box for the country.
All right. All right. I think this is looking pretty good now. So let me see. I have the basic structure here. So I have the bottom bar at the top, the first part of the form, postal address, street addresses. I can view this in preview mode as well. So there I can actually just go ahead and do some very simple testing. Of course, if you have more complex things here like a grid, you can scroll through that and so on. Also try to make this a bit smaller. You said it has to be responsive or something like that. So
yeah, I need to work down to a mobile phone size.
Yeah, so I think I'm done. This is perfect now. right?
Well, we have the content there, and the structure is pretty okay, but we still need to add a bit of CSS to make it look the way we want it to look.
Okay, okay.
So if we look at the, can I bring up the mockup again briefly?
Yeah, sure. There we go.
Yeah. So as you can see here, we want to have a light gray background color on the scrolling area here. We want to keep the header bar white, and we also want to restrict the width of the form so that in a wide viewport it doesn't stretch to fill the entire width of the viewport. No. But most importantly, we want this header bar to be static here, so we don't want it to scroll with the viewport.
All right.
So going back to the designer, if we would scroll this now, you would see that. Oh, no, I'm scrolling the UI instead of.
Yeah, you can check.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So as you can see here, the header is now scrolling with the content of the UI, and we don't really want that. So let's go into the code view here, and into the template that we have here. We want to add some CSS to make all of those things look the way we want them to look. But you don't want to see me try to type correct CSS live. That's just that would just take like the whole day, trust me. So instead, I've prepared some CSS here.
Like a TV chef.
Like a TV chef, yeah.
It's amazing.
So I can just quickly walk you through what we're doing here. This is all just standard CSS, so no fancy magic going on really. First of all, the host is the root element of this view. We set that to be a flexbox, a vertical flexbox, so that we get the content, like the two form sections and so on, to flow vertically, and we want them to be vertically centered. And then the header bar that we want to be fixed statically to the top of the viewport, that we set to position fixed and top 0. Now this will actually make it fixed to the top of the viewport so that it doesn't scroll when we scroll the viewport. And we also set the background color and some box shadow on it to make it look the way we want it to look. And then we have the title, the user profile title span. We'll just set some font sizes on that and a bit of flex magic. The content area is basically the area that contains the two forms and the divider between them. We set that to have some padding, and we set the max width of that element to be 700 pixels so that it doesn't grow too wide. We'll also add a bit of CSS to the horizontal rule element we added for the separator, and to the section title, which is the postal address span, just to tweak the fonts a bit.
All right.
So,
let's
see what it looks like now.
Okay, so it's already different. I guess I need to apply the style names.
Yes, exactly. So, as you might remember, I set the header bar ID for the header bar.
So it's this one.
Like so.
Oh,
okay. Yeah.
Looks already different. And then I guess you had something for the title.
Yeah, the title has a class title. Yes.
Oh, excellent.
And then the content area.
Hey, we don't have.
We don't have the content area. That's a good point. So we want to wrap the form layout and the HR element into a div.
All right.
With the ID content area.
Okay. So if I just add a div and here, and then just drag all the things inside it, and then set an ID for it.
Yes.
That should do it.
That should do it.
All right. So I have a div, and that was content area, right?
Yeah, camel case. Yep.
There. Oh, okay.
Yes, that did it.
Already looks different. And then I guess you had something for the span. This was like
the span was section title.
Section title. All right. So already looks a lot better.
Yep.
Thank you. And again, I can try this here. Yeah, this looks pretty awesome. But it's always really important to also, in addition to testing with different viewport sizes here, also to test it in real devices. So on the top right corner you have a button open in browser or preview in browser, and I have a phone here so I can just snap the QR code like that.
I can do the same thing with my phone.
Yeah, go ahead. And what this does, it allows us to preview this design here immediately in a phone. So I'm mirroring my phone into the desktop here. So as you can see, I can interact with it. It's the exact same design. And actually now that I hold this phone in my hand, the actual physical device, there's a slight problem maybe with the buttons, see?
Yeah, so
I can't quite reach them. I have a slightly bigger phone and slightly shorter thumb maybe, so I think this is maybe something we could fix.
Yeah, a lot of people have really big phones these days, and the save and cancel buttons are something that the user always wants to press once he's finished with filling in the form.
Yeah.
And because of the position of those at the top of the viewport, they're actually really difficult to reach with your thumb. So you have to reach over with your finger across the screen.
Yeah.
So we can actually make that a bit better.
All right.
So let's create a second toolbar, similar to the header bar that we have.
Yeah.
So we can just make a copy of the header bar actually.
Yeah. So I'll make a copy here. So now we have just two of them on top of each other.
So yeah, they're both on top of each other because both are fixed to the top of the viewport at the moment.
All right.
So we can actually first go into the CSS again.
All right.
Because here, as you might have noticed already, we had a commented out part here. So we have a footer bar ID that we set position fixed, but we fix it to the bottom of the viewport instead of the top.
Yeah.
Like so.
All right.
So now if we go and have a look at that and apply the footer bar ID to that. All right.
Oh, okay.
So now we have two bars.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So now I guess this will be the main one here at the bottom, and I'll just...
Yeah, just remove the buttons from the header and then remove the title span from the footer bar.
So like this, and if I now look here at my phone, yeah, much better. So the buttons are in the bottom side, and I can access them really easily. So this was a nice improvement that we found just quickly by checking on a real device.
Yeah. Now, it's always important to check with different devices.
Okay.
So that was Risto's iPhone that we just tested it with.
Yeah.
But iOS Safari, the Safari browser in iPhone, tends to behave quite differently from Chrome on Android, especially when it comes to things like fixed elements in the viewport. So, as you can see here, it actually works quite nicely here as well on my Android, and I can easily reach those buttons at the bottom. But show me, Risto, again on your phone what it looks like when you focus a text field.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm here and I focus first name, and it looks like this.
Yeah. So as you can see here, Safari actually hides the footer bar now.
Okay.
Because it doesn't move with the keyboard when a keyboard appears in the viewport. However, if you scale my phone to a bit bigger, like so, when I now focus a text field in Chrome on an Android phone, you'll see that the footer bar actually appears above the keyboard. So Chrome on Android just handles fixed elements differently with regards to the virtual keyboard. And the problem here is that, first of all, it's kind of annoying to have this footer bar appear on top of the keyboard because it's kind of getting in the way of filling in data. Furthermore, this is still a fairly large Android screen, even though it's one of the smaller phones out there. But a lot of people are still using phones with, especially older phones, with even smaller screens. And even on this phone, the vertical area that we have that remains between the browser Chrome, the header, the footer, and the keyboard is actually quite small. So now that I'm looking at this on my phone, I kind of feel like I don't really want that footer bar to be present above the keyboard when I'm filling in the fields. Unfortunately, there's no easy way to just make a fixed element not appear above the keyboard on Android. So let's do a quicker fix instead.
Okay.
Let's do it so that we simply move those buttons away from, or just actually remove the entire footer bar from being fixed to being part of the scrolling area. So move it inside of that scrolling div there.
Okay, so now it's here with the form layout and HR and span.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And then we just remove the footer bar
This.
ID, yeah, because that should remove the position fixed CSS attribute.
I see, so now it's at the bottom again. Yeah.
Exactly, yeah. So now it should be, if we scroll down here, we can see that the buttons are now at the bottom. And if we look at what that looks like on my phone, all right, when I refresh the page, we can see that the entire form scrolls, and when we get to the bottom of the form, we have the save and cancel buttons. And when I focus the text field, we don't have that annoying footer bar floating on top of it.
All right.
Okay, so this is nice.
Okay, so I think now we've got into a pretty good place with the design. So I did the initial structure first. We applied some CSS, fixed some design issues together, and after this, as a developer, one thing I might want to do that is to take this button bar here. So maybe in a more bigger application, this might be slightly more complex, and I maybe anticipate, or I already know that you have a bunch of those designs that use always the same button bar.
Yeah, it's going to be repeated over and over again in pretty much all of the views in this application.
So taking that this is, again, just CSS, HTML, maybe some JavaScript if you write it, what I can do is just extract the HTML and CSS here into separate components. So I can reuse components really easily. So I can just quickly show the button bar that I have here in the project component. So I take the button bar, HTML, there we go. And I'll just super quickly show this. So the source is the same, pretty much the same we had inside the my form. It looks the same. And actually what I can just do is I have the horizontal layout here, and I can just delete that. I have the bottom bar here and just add that into the div, and it's pretty much a drop-in replacement for that functionality. And then another thing I would do next is, as a developer, actually start connecting this into the Java. So remembering that Vaadin Designer is kind of part of the Vaadin platform, where we have also Vaadin Flow, the Java framework. So I would probably take, let's say, the text field here, the first one. There's a button here, connect to Java, click that. And what that does is, if I go here and open the Java file, then here you have a field for that text field, and then I would just start writing my logic there. So this is just a flow component, just a normal flow component, and you can use it in your application as you would any other component. So this is a way then to start maybe applying your business logic or connecting to a backend service or stuff like that. Or then, if you want just to stay within Designer, maybe prototype something, you can just write some JavaScript and access a REST service from there and populate forms or grids just in Designer if you want to. Okay, that was pretty much all we wanted to show today. So for me as a developer, I really love that Designer creates pure HTML, CSS, JavaScript. There's nothing fancy. I really easily understand what's going on, and it's really easy to continue also into Java or just write a piece of JavaScript and add some functionality. And as we saw, it's really easy to view designs also in external devices, mobile devices, and iterate quickly. Yeah,
that's really where the most of the value comes for me as a designer, since when I'm doing mockups, when I'm doing wireframes or pixel perfect mockups, or even a click-through prototype in a prototyping tool, I still can't see how that UI is going to behave in different devices. So like we saw the difference between the iPhone and the Android phone, the behavior of that bottom bar was not something I would have been able to even discover without trying it out in a real UI. And with the designer, I can easily throw together a proper Vaadin UI and test it on an actual device without having to know how to write any Vaadin code.
Yeah,
manually.
exactly.
Yeah.
And you notice that we didn't start any servers, we didn't do any builds with the project. So
Yeah.
imagine that we had like a bigger flow project with like a complicated build setup maybe or something like that.
Yeah.
Instead of that, we can just open the project, open designer, and we can view the design in a browser, on the desktop, on different devices, tweak CSS and so on,
Yeah.
without kind of actually maybe going through a possibly complicated setup for
Exactly.
the project.
Yeah. Saves a lot of time in both in the design and like this collaborative design and development process.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Thank you everyone for watching.
Thank you.